in the Football League, promotion and relegation. For the first time, the season will end with playoffs for which promotion and relegation places will be at stake. The idea being to reduce the size of the First Division by 2 clubs over the next 2 seasons. Well, for sides in the promotion zone in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th divisions, it represents a great climax to the season. For sides, in particular near the bottom of the 1st, it's a competition to be regarded with some dread. But how does it actually work, and what's the view of the clubs and the fans? John Motson reports.
In every one of 92 dressing rooms, awareness is growing week by week of a revolutionary climax to this 99th season of English League football. Especially at a club like Stoke, founder members of the league all those years ago, and now, after a run of 11 unbeaten 2nd Division matches, one of the favourites to take part in the playoffs in 13 weeks' time. But do supporters really understand what's involved?
Oh, I think they're a good thing, but I don't know much about them, really.
Is it the champions are automatically promoted, is that correct?
And the second team.
And the second team? Oh, I see.
But the 3rd, 4th and 5th go into the playoffs.
Yes, I see. Well, how many come down then from the First Division?
Well, 19th position, what? It's about 3/4 of the way down, isn't it?
Don't know about the 2nd Division. 3rd and 4th, no idea.
Well, I had to read it about 3 or 4 times to understand it, I'll be honest.
Well, I know that it's the first bottom 3 teams that get relegated. 2 after that play the 3rd, 4th and 5th of the 2nd Division. And then 1 goes down. Out of, well, either one of the others out of the 2nd Division go up, or one of the other 2 out the bottom of the 1st go down.
What can you tell me about them?
Not a lot, but I don't know what we're on about now.
First Division side, the 4th from the bottom, is going to play the 5th from the top of the 2nd Division. The 3rd and 4th are going to play. Then you're going to get a final. Now that final, those 2 teams will be playing for the biggest prize ever in the history of football. Bigger than the FA Cup final and the Littlewoods Cup.
So how will such a prize be won? Well, if we take the way the First Division looks at the moment, the last 3 clubs, Charlton Athletic, Aston Villa and Newcastle United, would be automatically relegated. Correspondingly, the top 2 in the 2nd Division, at present Portsmouth and Derby County, would be promoted in the normal way. That in itself, 3 down and 2 up, would achieve the desired effect of reducing the First Division to 21 clubs next season. But a 4th club could go down, because the 19th team, currently Manchester City, will join the 3rd, 4th and 5th clubs in Division 2, Oldham Athletic, Stoke City and Ipswich Town, in a 4-team playoff. The actual playoff matches would work like this. The 5th club in Division 2 plays the 19th club in Division 1, home and away on a 2-leg basis, while the 4th club and the 3rd club in Division 2 meet in a similar semi-final. Those matches will be played on the Monday and Wednesday of the week leading up to the FA Cup final, and the 2 winners will meet in the final a week later to decide who plays in the First Division next season. So at present, Ipswich would meet Manchester City, with Ipswich at home in the first leg, and Stoke would play Oldham.
The last promotion slot is no longer guaranteed, but I mean this is one of the penalties of the league system. The advantage it's a disadvantage for the 1 club concerned, but it's an advantage for the league as a whole because it brings so many more clubs into the playoff zone, and interest is heightened throughout the table, so hopefully crowds will go up in a greater number of matches.
The procedure for both semi-finals and final is as follows. If the aggregate scores are level at the end of the 2nd leg, half an hour's extra time is played. If that fails to produce an aggregate winner, the away goals rule comes into operation. Should that not resolve the tie, the teams meet again in a 3rd match the following night, with the venue decided by the toss of a coin. Again, there's provision for extra time, and if the teams are still level after 330 minutes of football, there's a penalty shootout. But the concept has its critics.
I think it's absolutely impossible. We have been playing 46 games this season with a league as a target. So therefore, if you finish 1st, 2nd or 3rd, that's you finished. You've played 46 games. Why go into another competition with people who you've passed?
That's the alternative view. But playoffs were designed partly to help the restructuring of the league, partly to add excitement to the end of the season, and partly to generate more money.
For instance, if it was a club like Manchester City or a club of equal support, playing in a final, you would have 2 full houses, the revenue would be colossal, so you're talking about a £250,000 game. And the prize for winning that £250,000 game is £1 million receipts in the First Division. Don't like it, but you're going to be very envious of the team if a team does finish 4th and then gets through. I mean, that's paradise, really, isn't it?
Whoever wins the playoffs, the First Division next season will consist of 21 clubs, which means every Saturday somebody will be without a game.
It's an awkward transitional period where there'll be 21 clubs in Division 1 and 23 clubs in Division 2, but I mean, the only alternative would have been to reduce it to 20 in one fell swoop, and I don't think that would have been a very happy situation. So it's unfortunate that there will be an odd number of clubs in Divisions 1 and 2, but I mean, you have to accept this when you embark on a restructuring of this nature.
I think that the instigators of reducing the league to 20 clubs, if you asked them, and they were honest with you, which they probably wouldn't be, but if they were honest with you, they've really changed their mind and they wish it had never happened now. And they wish we still had 22 clubs because they realise that they're going to be losing revenue, even a medium-sized club of 100, 150. And if you think of the top clubs, Liverpool, Man United, you could be talking about £200,000 they're losing in revenue on those 2 games.
Swales and City have experienced sudden death relegation, losing their last match to Luton 4 years ago. City went down, Luton stayed up. One manager is going to experience in the playoffs the elation felt by David Pleat. It could be Steve Coppell or Mick Mills.
When you're talking about these playoffs and the reasons for it, you must think of what it is all about, and it's to try and streamline the First Division. And I think this is something that should have come into football many years ago. I think that the First Division and the First Division players are overburdened with their matches and what they have to take on.
It's a very hard, competitive 10 months in the Football League anyway. And if you get into, in the First Division, if the team that finishes 4th from bottom are on a little bit of a charge coming into the playoffs, then they should really sail through. I think the class will tell. And the 3rd, 4th and 5th teams, again, it's at the end of a long competitive season. It could go right up until the last week and they could be a little bit battle-weary. I think the 4th and bottom team in the First Division should have the edge. But, as you say, cup-tie football almost, anything could happen.
With the ultimate eventuality, a penalty shootout to determine who wins the playoffs and inherits that £1 million prize.
I hope it doesn't happen in most respects. I hope that the issues are settled without having to resort to penalties. But at the end of the day, if that does happen, well, there'll be an enormous amount of interest in those 5 penalties, or those 10 penalties at the end of the season.
The playoffs operate throughout the league. Between Divisions 2 and 3, there are 2 clubs automatically promoted and relegated, shown here in red, and again 4 teams involved in a playoff, those in blue. The fixtures would look like this, and the same procedure would apply with the winners playing in the 2nd Division next season. At the bottom of Division 3 and the top of 4, it's 3 up and 3 down automatically, then a playoff between the 4 blue teams. They would line up like this, with the winners here playing in the 3rd Division next season. The other radical change is at the foot of the 4th Division, where the old re-election procedure is scrapped and the bottom team is automatically relegated from the league. They will be replaced by the champions of the Vauxhall GM Conference, providing that club's ground facilities meet the criteria laid down by the Football League. So, as things stand at present, it would mean Barnet replacing Rochdale.
Eddie Gray, he'll have a go at Coleman, Down is covering, and he's round him. 2 in the middle, Clark! It's Mackenzie! Yes! Magnificently made by the man who came back, Eddie Gray.
Eddie Gray's comeback as a manager has taken him to Rochdale, where losing league status is a nagging fear.
It's going to happen to some club, we just hope it's not us. It'll be very, very disappointing and tragic for whoever it happens to. There's a lot of clubs down there, obviously. We've just got to try and make sure that we're the team that survives. I mean, that's the name of the game, it's the survival of the fittest.
Let's get out there, carry on where we left off last week and keep winning.
200 miles away at Barnet, Barry Fry is urging his team towards the holy grail of Football League status.
It's the only way we can reward Big Stan, get him in the league. Let's go. Good luck.
I think Wimbledon are incentive to all non-league clubs. I mean, they was a very good... I remember playing against them 11 years ago, 12 years ago, when I was at Bedford and Romford and various other clubs. I mean, they was a very successful non-league club. They had ambition like us. I mean, I'd like to see European football here at Barnet in 6 years' time. I mean, it seems a dream and everybody laughs. But I think what Wimbledon's achieved, and even Oxford to a certain degree, because they was Headingley in Southern League several years ago as well, is an example to us all and an incentive to us all.
Fittingly, perhaps, Barnet's centenary coincides with that of the Football League. Their Underhill ground has a 10,000 capacity, and last night's crowd of over 2,000 for their victory over Bath puts Barnet's average for the season at 1,756. At the foot of the Pennines, the average at Rochdale's Spotland Stadium this season is nearly 400 less than that. But their ground is bigger, with a comparable amount of seats and covered accommodation. The whole concept of automatic promotion from the Vauxhall League still hinges in the final analysis on ground facilities.
We will be making it absolutely clear to the prospective candidates for election to the league what criteria, what ground standards, what financial standards they have to meet at the end of the season to gain automatic promotion to the Football League in replacement of the bottom club. And I'm sure that it's in everybody's interests, possibly from the bottom club in the Football League, that we don't pitch those criteria too high, and providing that they have good, tidy grounds and are capable of meeting the requirements of the Safety Acts, there's every hope that the top club in the Vauxhall Conference will come up to the Football League this year.
I don't think I've got any fears, because whatever needs to be done at Barnet Football Club will be done. We've done a lot of things so far, and from what I've been told by security and by fire chiefs and council, there isn't a lot to be done now.
Flashman is known in London circles as a ticket operator, but can he sell Barnet to a wider audience?
Barry Fry's the manager, and if he says he wants Diego Maradona, provided we can get somebody to do a bank robbery, we'll get him.
Progress has got to be made in everything, and somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. And unfortunately, somebody will have to come out. You know, and let's hope that we're the ones to go in. I mean, you know what football's like. It's no good shouting from the rooftops, we're going to do this and going to do that, because football's got an awful habit of kicking you in the footballs, and it certainly hurts, doesn't it?
There's non-league teams been pushing to get into the Football League and losing out by a small margin of votes. And I think at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do. And it gives them the opportunity again and play in the Football League, which a lot of these clubs have been striving for a long time as well.
So the new structure brings renewed hope, even for a team who 3 months ago were bottom of the second division. What's happened since to Stoke City is an inspiration to all clubs, for whom meaningless end-of-season games may be a thing of the past.
If you look at the second division now, Sunderland aren't too far off the bottom, but they're one game in hand of us, 8 points behind. They've got every chance to be in the playoffs at this stage of the season. It extends the season for the fans, it extends the season for the clubs.
Apart from the search, you know, the real top liners at the moment, Everton, Liverpool, Spurs, teams like that, everybody could be embroiled in this one. And I tell you what, when this programme's finished, there'll be a few nervous people who haven't realised what can happen.
You feel sorry for the 19th team in the first division, do you?
Oh yeah, especially if you get us.
Those are the playoffs. We hope that's explained a little more about what promises to be a fascinating climate.